My regards. If you ask any English Premier League fan and follower of the Premier League and tell him what is the strongest defence the English Premier League has ever known, Mourinho's Chelsea defence will definitely tell you, in his first experience, and if many centres will tell you exactly the 2004 and 2005 seasons. That defence was not a defence, it was a wall. It is forbidden to pass through it today in football stories. We will talk about the story of Mourinho creating the strongest defence in the English Premier League in his first season with Chelsea. At that time, he won the league and confirmed that he was exceptional, as he said in the press conference when he was appointed to train Chelsea and stripped Arsenal, who had not lost a match in the previous season, of his title. And he achieved the first league title for Chelsea in 50 years, half a century, meaning because their last title was 1955. Mourinho, while achieving the league title, was setting records, most notably the defensive record. Who entered the Guinness Book of Records? This season, he conceded only 15 goals in 38 games, and he achieved 25 clean sheets, which means that Chelsea received only one goal every 3 matches. One of the goals I conceded was an own goal scored by a Chelsea player who was Jeremy. No, check before. Most likely, what we see will not be achieved for many years, perhaps 20 or 30 years ahead. How did Mourinho achieve this figure? When Mourinho arrived, he made defensive deals with players who worked with him in Porto, Carvalho and others. Mourinho knew them, their discipline and their strength in individual confrontations. And they were an essential part of his achievement by winning the Champions League. But the most important deal was Petr Cech, who brought him from the French club Rennes, and many people did not know him. This goalkeeper in France had remarkable numbers by playing with an average club like Rennes and getting 14 clean sheets in the season. And major defensive reinforcements. Mourinho was fixing the defensive line almost throughout the season, and this created a very high harmony and understanding. For example, John Terry, the defence captain, played 36 matches, but 2 matches that he missed, and this was at the end of the season after Chelsea clinched the title. He received 2 goals, the reverse goal that Jeremy scored, and we talked about in front of Newcastle, and the second goal was Mr. Roy's goal for Manchester United, Agar, against Chelsea in the famous match. Where the Red Devils stood, an honourable passage to the eyes of Jose Mourinho's team. Terry was with the terrible continuity that made him one of the cornerstones of success. He played 36 matches for a full 90 minutes, and on the left side, Mourinho was relying on the Frenchman William Giles, who basically knew how to play central defence, so the defensive hardness on the left was a lot. He participated in 28 matches, and some matches that needed a lot of offensive character. He used Mourinho and Wayne Bridge, and their mother was a person. When I say his name, you will know the secret of defensive strength. A person always describes the moment he left Real Madrid as the collapse of the Galacticos. This man is Claude Makélélé. This man always forgets his contribution. With successes and focusing on those around him, but he must be mentioned here because he was always a contributor with Paris Saint-Germain in France, Real Madrid and Chelsea with the most important successes. Even with Nantes Zaman in 94 and 95, he won the league. Makélélé played 36 games in front of the defence line, a full 90 minutes, one of the best seasons in terms of performance that I remember. But this is not all, not individuals. The way Mourinho was playing for the Premier League was new. Most of the English Premier League clubs used to play 4-4-2, or at most 90% of them. Mourinho became playing 4-3-3, and there were still many English teams that relied on long balls and tried to win the second ball in the middle of the field. But in this way, in which Mourinho entered, he had 3 midfielders, compared to 2 in the depth of the midfield. Let him win the second balls, let him control the pitch, and throw him. And with the strength of Terry and Carvalho, with air balls, long balls became no problem. And the very great Petr Cech saw them. High balls and crosses. All of this created a team that scored 15 goals. But in addition to Jose Mourinho at the time, his moral impact on the players was indescribable in football. Every player who went down in the match considered it a war and gave 90 minutes with full concentration. Petr Cech actually conceded 13 goals because it's the last 2 league games he didn't play. Thus, he took the Golden Glove award and achieved 24 clean sheets at the time. John Terry won the Player of the Season award, presented by the Professional League, to be the 5th defender in history to win this award, and the last one was won before him by Aston Villa defender Paul McCarr in the year 93. And for information, it was the beginning of the rise of the fantasy and its time. John Terry. He was a fantasy star like Haaland and Mohamed Salah now, although he is a defender next to clean sheet. The number of people who entered the game was still not the same as now. They were few, but everyone was putting the defence line in the Chelsea defence line at the time. Terry achieved 196 points for the players who chose him throughout the season. This is a record for a centre-back in this game, while Cech alone achieved 178 points and achieved 24 clean sheets at the time. Chelsea Mourinho's defence will remain 2000-4005 in the memory of every football fan, as playing in front of them was offensive suicide. Impossible. You can reach their goal easily. Legends they faced were disappearing. This defence will remain in the memory of every Premier League fan until another Mourinho comes and breaks this defensive record. For your information, everything was not defensive, but because Chelsea finished the season with the second strongest attack with 72 goals and won the league by 12 points from Arsenal, who had not lost a match in the previous season. Of course, we are talking about Mourinho, and he understood. Scoring goals is part of the defensive system, because when you score your opponent is in a hurry, and here you can defend better. We come to the end of today's story.